everybody. Welcome, welcome. Come on in, grab your cup. Let's take a sip. We got some talking to do today. All right, so let us start with a quote from Coffee with Colby. All right, here we go. Ooh, this is a good one. Are you ready? The key is this: if that story is not working for you, get rid of it, purge it. If you are holding on to something physically and you no longer need it, get rid of it, purge it. If you are holding on to a relationship that is no longer serving, get rid of it, purge that too. And that's important. That's number 94. But that's important, right? How many times are we holding on to things that we don't need to hold on to? And that's actually in perfect alignment with today's talk about trauma and triggers, right? So here's the thing with trauma and triggers. There's a lot of us that have experienced trauma. There's a lot of us that have had experiences, right? And whether they're big, small, setbacks, disappointments, major traumas, small traumas, irrelevant, they may create triggers after the fact. All right. If you haven't fully worked through that trauma, something may come up that will trigger those emotions. It's almost like that PTSD. It will set you back. Okay. And so the importance of working through your trauma is to help alleviate the triggers. If you work through that trauma and you fully heal from it, then you won't have those triggers. Those triggers can really be debilitating. I'm sure many of you know that, all right? You know that. And this is the part where your trauma, anything you've been through, if you hold on to it, if you hold on to that trauma, you're simply going to create that pain over and over and over. You'll relive that experience, especially each time something comes up and in your mind you tell yourself it's the same thing over or it's happening again. And so when we can recognize our trauma, when we can sit down and recognize these experiences and work through that healing process. Now, healing doesn't just happen. I believe healing takes work. All right. It takes work to get through those painful experiences. And that trauma, literally, it could be anything, you guys. It could be abuse. It could be neglect. It could be hatred. It could be loss. I'm sure all of you have had something where you said, wow, that was traumatic for me. I'm sure you have. It's part of the life experiences, right? But the more we can understand, hey, what's the reason behind this or what's the purpose behind this? And then that's tough too, because when something really traumatic happens, you're like, really? You give me one good reason why that happened. There doesn't have to be a good reason, unfortunately. All right? There doesn't have to be a good reason. There just is a reason. And maybe that's for the experience. Maybe that's for the lesson. I can't justify why something happens. We want to make things positive all day long. I know all of us do. Sometimes there isn't. But when you can find that silver lining, when you can find that rainbow, then it will bring that optimism and positivity back and help you work through that pain and that grief and that loss and that disappointment. What if you didn't get a chance to say goodbye to someone? What if you took something for granted? God forbid something happened to you, right? God forbid. But these things do happen. And how do you make sure that it doesn't define who you are? It may have an impact on who you are, but maybe that's for the better, right? Maybe there's something good that comes out of it. Maybe it shows you your life purpose. Maybe it shows you your path. Maybe it gives you an opportunity to help others. Maybe it shows you what you don't want. Maybe it shows you that you're more than what that situation or that circumstance was for you. Okay? But when you can look at that in a positive way, when you can look at working through that heaviness and that trauma to say, hey, what am I to learn about this and how can I help others through this, right? That can help you let go of those triggers. Those triggers, again, what are triggers? They set you off, they set you apart. But are you responding to the current situation, or really are you still responding from something in the past? A lot of times, even in a relationship, right? In a relationship, let's say you had a relationship that wasn't so healthy. Maybe it was with a narcissist, or maybe they were gaslighting or cheating, or all sorts of things, okay? All sorts of things, right? Now you're in a new relationship and you see they're behaving a certain way. All of a sudden you're locking them. Oh my God, they're like this person. I just know it. Rather than giving this person a chance to say, hey, wait a second, I'm different. Wait a second, let me work with you. And when we can do this, when we can start to separate that trauma with our grief and our healing process and those triggers, we're able to open up. We're able to see more than that situation, more than that experience, okay? That experience doesn't need to hold you hostage. That experience does not need to define you. And when we understand that, and when we say, wait a second, that's true. I am more than this. I'm not going to live in this fear mold, right? Then you are empowered. Then you do create change. And again, it's kind of looking at, the bigger picture. We can get trapped in our trauma. You can get trapped in it. And those triggers will come up for the rest of your life until you learn how to work through the trauma that created them. The triggers are a reminder. They're a flashback. They put you in that space, in that place. But it's not positive, right? That trigger is that negative response to that trauma. Okay? So then what are you doing? You're giving that trauma power. Whoever did that to you or whatever happened, you're now giving your power back to them. Right? You see that? So take your power back. Say, wait a second, you're not going to do this to me. You're not going to ruin from this day forward. I'm not going to base every people I meet on you. No. And when you look at it, you're going to look at they are not everybody, all right? They are not the norm. Those experiences you had, that trauma is not the norm, okay? That's the exception, yet you're giving the exception all your energy and all your power as if it's the truth, rather than recognizing someone or something for what it is and saying, oh, no, you were a bump in the road. Now, it might be a big bump, okay? It might be a boulder. Okay? I understand. I'm not trying to minimize your experience in any way. I get it. But even if it's the biggest boulder, you climb over it. You are stronger than that. You are more powerful than that, right? You are a soul being. Hello. Okay? So you've got this, all right? So when you can understand, like, hey, wait a second. Yeah, this isn't it. Your past doesn't have to define your future. How many times do you say, oh my God, this keeps happening over and over and over? Right? Oh my God, how does this happen to me again? How many? I know you have. Right? Oh my God, why does this always happen to me? Why does this always happen to me? All right, because you're allowing those triggers to take place, right? You're giving those triggers the energy. If you look at it and say, wait a second, I'm not doing this, I'm moving past this, you're going to bring in different people. Your energy is going to change. What you attract from the universe will change. And you can do this. You can absolutely do this. You don't have to keep repeating it. You don't have to keep reliving it. Absolutely not. That loss and that devastation, it truly is finding that healing power within you to heal from that, to heal that wound, no matter how deep it is, to then live a life. You're not meant to live in a box. You're not meant to live in darkness. You're not meant to live in sadness. You are not meant to live in depression. You are meant to live in joy and love and miracles. And when you change that perspective, heal. It's work. It's work. I get it. Heal. Do the healing work so that you can experience the joy, the love, the amazement. So if you're in a place now, never in the past where you thought, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be in this place, I don't want to live anymore, right? We got to work on changing that perspective. So maybe you got to talk to a professional, maybe reach out, let people know you're in this space so that we can figure out why and where and how and what needs to happen to move you into the space of joy and fulfillment and happiness. Okay? And doing this is possible for you. absolutely possible. I promise you, not you are not chosen to not be part of this. You are absolutely in this. You absolutely have this opportunity to be here, to be in this, to do this, to enjoy this. The universe is not saying you are not allowed to be happy. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So it's up to you, right? What can you do? And I'm not saying you got to do this on your own, all right? You got to do the work. You got to do the work. You got to get in there. You got to get in. Oh, I'm not saying that's not fun. Right? Think of it as like, okay, listen, you know what this is like. You've got that closet. That closet really needs to be cleaned out. It's got years of stuff. The attic. Let's use the attic for God's sakes. The attic. You got to clean out the attic. You don't want to go through the attic. You don't even want to be in there. You don't even remember what you put in there, but you got to roll up your sleeves. You got to clean out the attic, right? Right? It's not fun, but once you do, how great does it feel? How great does it feel to have a clean space, to have a simple space, to know where everything is, to purge what no longer serves you? Okay? That's what you're going to do with your trauma. That's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to get in there, not going to enjoy it very much, but you're going to work through it. You're going to work through that pain, that sorrow, that hurt, that disappointment, that abandonment. How many of you feel abandoned in your life and in your relationships? Where did it come from? You're going to get in there and you're going to clean it out. You're going to polish it up. You're going to organize so that when you come out of this, when you come on the other side of that trauma, it's a clear space and it's a positive space, and you know right where everything is, and your identity is no longer tied to that trauma. And when your identity is no longer tied to that trauma, guess what happens? No triggers. Okay? No triggers. Please, if you can, let's work on it. We've got 2020 coming in. I'm sure many of you have traumas that go from 2020 and past. I'm sure you do. Some come from when you were a young child. Some come in teenhood, young adulthood. No matter where your trauma originated, okay? No matter where it originated, all right? You can still heal it. It's not too late to heal it. You can still create this joy and abundance, fulfillment and balance, positivity. You can absolutely do this. Okay, you guys, I promise. You got to clean the attic. You got to get in there. You got to get in there, put those gloves on, and get in there deep. Get in there deep. One last thing. Anyone who created the event of trauma upon you, okay, anyone, whether that's a parent, a relative, a lover, a coworker, anyone, a stranger, right? Stranger danger, right? Anyone who inflicted this pain on you, this trauma on you, does not deserve to be a part of your life, okay? Does not deserve to continue over and over and over to be a part of your experience with triggers, okay? Don't give them that power. You are more powerful than that. So let's work on it. Let's get deep. Let's work on it. Let's get through it. Let's get to where you are meant to be, where the universe is saying, yes, yes, this is where you are. Okay? All right. That is your Coffee with Colby for today. This Thursday night on the Colby Rebel Show, it's a date night. Yeah. My fave. It's you, me. Call me. Hang out with me. On the 15th, you guys, December 15th. It is Merry Messages. This is an evening of spirit messages, an evening of connecting to your loved ones in spirit. You can get those tickets right on my website, or you can get them on my Facebook page under events. Come join me for Merry Messages. Let's celebrate, all right? Lots of love to you. Lots of love. Remember to shine your light and shine it bright. All right, everybody. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.